The 8-3 Cleveland Browns hit the road this week off to Tennessee to play the 8-3 Titans in a matchup of two of the best run games 2020 has to offer.
No one's going to stop him!
Derrick Henry doesn't just seem to wear out defenses within a game, he seems to do it to the whole league as the year wears on.
King Henry has 3!
King Henry's most recent masterpiece, 178 yards, 3 TDs, most of that being put up in the first half as the Titans were on their way to a blowout over the Colts.
Henry to the outside, he's in!
Henry has put up over 100 rushing yards in 4 of his last 5 games, has hit at 4.5 yards per carry or better in 4 of his last 5, leads the NFL in rush attempts and rush yards.
Derrick Henry, crown him!
If you go off what have you done for me lately, Henry appears to be in position to pile onto those numbers. Cleveland allowed James Robinson to put up 128 yards on 5.8 yards per carry against them last week.
Robinson breaking tackles again.
If you go off the Browns' season numbers, though, they might be able to slow him down a little at least, because prior to their showing against Robinson, they were at least in the top 10 in rush yards per carry and rush yards per game against.
Cleveland with a takeaway deep inside their own territory.
Okay, let's flip it all around now, because Nick Chubb has been almost as hot as Henry has.
Chubb showing the wheels.
Chubb went for 144 yards and a score last week on a fat 7.6 yards a pop.
Chubb slips a tackle again.
Chubb now has gone over the century mark 5 out of his last 7 games this year. The Browns 6-1 in games Chubb has played, and he's averaging over 6 yards per carry for the season.
Chubb, what a dice over.
When Chubb takes a breather, though, things don't get easier for the opposing defense, because in steps Kareem Hunt.
Hunt finds the edge.
Hunt had 10 carries last week, picked up 62 yards, and has been hitting at over 4.5 a run for the year.
Hunt's gaping hole.
So, how about the Titans' rush D? More than did their part against the Colts last week, though Indy's run game has been one of the least effective this season.
And he's bottled up.
Tennessee's body of work against the run overall, though, is what you would consider to be in the average range.
And here are the Colts knocking on the door yet again.
So what about when these teams throw? Ryan Tannehill had a solid outing last week. His season numbers overall look great.
Tannehill throws. Brown turning on the speed. Goodbye!
He's also received excellent protection all year. Tannehill, one of the least sacked QBs in the league.
The Titans deliver on 4th down.
The Browns could put some heat on Tannehill, but they really need Myles Garrett to make that happen.
Here they come. Garrett. Football is loose.
Garrett's missed 2 games in a row now, and with him, they were a top 10 pass rush in sacks. Without him, mixed bag. Last week, 0 QB takedowns against a Jags team that had given up one of the highest sack figures in the league.
Glennon to the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown.
That, in turn, allowed Mike Glennon to throw for 2 scores without being picked, while posting a 96.7 passer rating against them. Cleveland's 2020 numbers against the pass in the middle of the pack.
To the end zone. It's running touchdown.
And then there's Baker Mayfield, who finally got to play a game where he wasn't fighting the weather, and he took advantage of it.
Baker to the end zone. Wide open for the Cleveland touchdown.
Mayfield put up his 5th game with a rating over 100. The Browns 5-0 in those games.
Mayfield a fake throwing to the end zone. This throw is perfect.
The Titans' pass D he faces, much like his own teams, falling in the average zone.
Rivers. Touchdown!
This game looks like one Forrest Gump would be all over. These teams could run to the end of town, across the county, even across the great state of Alabama. Tell us which team will run Forrest run the best. Put your prediction in the comments section. We have some our panel drew up, and for what it's worth, MJD and Nick Shook were the only 2 to call for both a Browns and Titans win last week. I feel like I should go on a run now.
3rd and goal. Mayfield, the pitch to Chubb. He's got the space, extends, and he's in for the touchdown.
Handoff. No. Fake. Tannehill himself for the touchdown.